Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore, or in this case narrated Fury video, where we will take a look at how Ainz Ooal Gown, that is the entire guild, would fare against the 8 Greed Kings, the players, that formerly ruled the entire continent after they defeated the Dragon Lords at near full power. But before we are going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Also please note that this is the third part, so please check out the other 2, as well as the info video about the 8 Greed Kings themselves. And to give you a brief recap what happened, the kings invaded Irantel, killed Mare, forced the Sorcerer King to flee, and then they fought off a counterattack in the Holy Kingdom, which again led to the Sorcerer King fleeing to the Great Tomb. The 8 Greed Kings and their armies followed them, and are now currently invading the first level of the tomb, and fell victims to its dangers. But while some were teleported away due to teleportation traps on the ground, and while some weaker troops of the kings were killed by the pop monsters of Nazarick, and while many more ran into dead ends and teleportation fields that led nowhere but in a circle, the first level fell quickly, as did the second, although the red armored vampire harassed their forces relentlessly. At home in the labyrinthian dungeon, she could tell where to find and kill lost or just underleveled troops, while having seemingly endless stamina and health, despite fighting with some level 70 to even 80 beings, with her lance. By now the manifold ways in Nazarick's teleportation network had led many of the king's troops astray, or sent them wandering in circles, thus causing significant congestion at narrow key locations. Even worse, they encountered incredible fierce resistance at the 3rd level, shocked that the Sorcerer King had such reserves even after losing 2 great battles and almost his entire kingdom. The forces of the Greed Kings were pinned into place, and due to the changing paths of the teleportation network, the troops were not only split up, but they couldn't even coordinate properly. Even worse, sometimes the teleportation paths will change at seemingly random, so that, not entirely coincidental, heavy infantry found itself in the rear of the assault, while the healing and support units were teleported to the front line, only to be slaughtered by the Sorcerer King's forces. An oil slime found himself placed next to a fire-breathing dragonoid. Its ignited body ate up all of the oxygen in the air, thus causing the proud dragonoid to suffocate, while the undead troops were completely unfazed by this accident. In another part of the Great Tomb, a fire and a water elemental were teleported so close that both would be annihilated by the other. But still, and despite the odds, a small part of the now split assault force even managed to reach the 4th level, a deep and very spacious underground lake. But before they could even flap their wings twice, a giant hand emerged from the pool of water, taking all of them into its palm like a child grasping marbles. Who drowned and who just had their lungs crushed? No one will ever find out. And before 2 close pockets of the assault force could link up with another and start a proper charge against the 3rd floor, they heard a devastating order. "Retreat! Retreat! Get me out of here!" yelled one of the kings, while a far more collected member of his elite bodyguard explained why. "A horde of enemies is pouring in from the direction of the entrance. This is a trap. Protect the kings with your life. We must leave at once. This is an order." The kings managed to fight their way out of the tomb into its yard, escorted by their elite NPCs. And while 3 even managed to escape, the rest, including their elite force in the courtyard, were struck down by the cry of a perishing angel. Is there even a purer being than a child that never had the chance to experience corruption in its life? Is there a greater sacrifice than the life of an unborn angel? With the death of victim, the limbs of the former proud assault force felt as heavy as lead, while the 4 remaining kings prayed that the effect of the angel's sacrifice would wear off quickly. They watched their army being massacred by Ainz Ooal Gown's incoming forces. before a marble-white bony hand grasped the skull of one of the kings, and thus crushed all of their hopes. Touch of undeath. With these words uttered, Ainz paralyzed the king and went to the next, before having the four dragged to Neuronist for intelligence extraction. From the still open eyes, one of the kings saw a red flash of light rushing down the entrance to the tomb, far quicker and far more powerful than the vampire Valkyrie they had seen and fought before. And before his consciousness fully faded, the screams of his minions reached his ears and filled his mind with horror, despair, and silence. But this temporary loss of consciousness will be the last mercy he shall ever receive within the tomb, which he shall never leave. Now the rest of his troops still inside Nazarick, confused, leaderless, and lost, were crushed between two mighty forces of Nazarick's vast armies. As the three other kings arrived at their guild base, the floating city, they wanted nothing more than to prepare for a siege. But after just a few steps within their floating fortress, the nightmare they supposedly had left behind caught up with them, as once more the forces of Nazarick were rushing into a guild base, but this time it had been their very own. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and you will be here once again when Ainz fully tries to take the flying fortress. Also special thanks to Bad Guy Yee, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia the Second, Thoralchivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Free Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Michael R, Michael Y, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, the Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vanish Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.